It's back pain. It's a real pain, isn't it? Lots of people have it. Maybe you have it right now. Or someone you know does. It can be a little ache that just nags at you. Or it can be something sharp. Something that stops you in your tracks. It can feel like it just comes out of nowhere, a sudden twinge from bending over. Or it can build up slowly, a constant dull throb that never quite goes away. You might wonder why we even get back pain. Is it just part of being human? Is our body just not built right? Some people think our back problems are like an old design flaw, or a leftover from when our ancestors changed how they walked, from 4 legs to 2, like a hangover from evolution. This idea makes sense to a lot of people. It feels like our bodies are trying to do something they weren't fully ready for. It's a big question, and it's not a simple yes or no answer, but it's worth thinking about. Because understanding why our backs hurt might help us feel better, or at least understand why we're in this mess in the first place. Think about the human body. It's pretty amazing. It can do incredible things. Run marathons, build tall buildings, write music. But then it can also just seize up from a bad sneeze or carrying a grocery bag the wrong way. And a lot of that trouble seems to happen in the back, especially the lower back. This part of our body takes a lot of stress. It holds us up. It lets us bend and twist. It's a workhorse. But it also seems to be our weakest link for many of us. Let's look at how we got here. We didn't always walk upright. A long, long time ago, our ancestors moved on all fours. Like monkeys or dogs, their spines were different than they were like a sturdy bridge. Hanging between 4 supports, their organs hung down from this bridge, supported by abdominal muscles and connective tissues. Their spine was mostly straight, or it had a gentle curve, a single arch. It was good for carrying weight in a different way. It was good for scrambling through trees or running fast on the ground, distributing impact across 4 limbs. When they landed, the force was spread out. The spine could stay fairly rigid and transmit power. Then something big happened. Our ancestors started standing up. This wasn't a sudden decision, like someone just stood up one day and said, "This is better." It was a gradual process, over millions of years, slowly, bit by bit. Different pressures and advantages favored standing. Maybe to see over tall grass, to spot predators or prey, maybe to pick fruit from higher branches, maybe to reach for things, or to carry things, like food, back to a safe spot. Or, crucially, to carry babies, freeing up the hands for other tasks. It was a huge evolutionary gamble, but it paid off in many ways. Their bodies changed with this shift. Their bones changed, their muscles changed. And the spine changed too. When you stand up straight, your spine isn't a bridge anymore. It becomes a pillar, a stack of bones, sitting one on top of the other. Imagine a stack of irregularly shaped blocks held together by elastic bands. This pillar has to support the entire weight of everything above it. Your head, which is pretty heavy, your arms, which also have weight, your torso with all its organs and muscles. All of that weight presses down. And where does most of that pressure go? Right to the lower back. The lumbar spine. That's the part that really feels the squeeze. To handle this new pressure, our spine didn't just stay straight like a simple pole. That would be too rigid. Too fragile. It developed curves. You have a curve in your neck, bowing forward. A curve in your upper back, bowing backward. And a curve in your lower back, bowing forward again. That lower back curve is called the lumbar curve. These curves are important. They act like springs. They help absorb shock. Think of it like a coiled spring in a car's suspension. It compresses and expands, smoothing out the ride. These curves make the spine stronger. They allow it to bend without breaking. Without these curves, our spine would be like a straight stick. Very stiff, very easy to snap under pressure from walking, running, or jumping. But even with these curves, it's a big ask for our lower back. Think about it. When you're on all fours, your weight is spread out. 4 points of contact with the ground. When you stand, it's just 2. Your feet, and all that weight is channeled through a relatively small area. The base of your spine. It's like putting a heavy box on a thin pole instead of a wide table. The pole has to resist not just the downward force, but also forces that try to bend it or shear it sideways. This is especially true at the curve points. The lumbar curve in particular deals with a lot of shear stress, where the vertebrae want to slide forward relative to each other. And it's not just the weight, it's how the spine is put together. Each bone in your spine is called a vertebra. There are 33 of them in total, though some are fused together, especially in the tailbone. Each vertebra is strong bone. Between most of these vertebrae, there's a disc. These discs are like jelly donuts. They have a tough outer ring called the annulus fibrosus, made of strong fibrous tissue. and the soft gel-like center called the nucleus pulposus. They cushion the bones. They allow the spine to bend and twist. They're super important, but they're also a weak point. They are filled with fluid and are designed to deform under pressure. When you put a lot of pressure on these discs, especially uneven pressure, they can get squeezed. The tough outer ring can bulge out, like squeezing a jelly donut, and the jelly tries to escape. Or the ring can even tear, and the soft center can push out. That's a herniated disc, sometimes called a slip disc, but they don't actually slip out of place. It's a common cause of back pain, and it's often in the lower back. Why there? Because that's where the most pressure builds up. That's where the spine makes a sharp turn into the pelvis. That's where all the forces meet, especially the combination of compression and shear forces. The discs in the lower back are the largest, adapted to take more load, but they still have limits. The spine is also held together by ligaments. These are strong, fibrous bands of tissue that connect bones to other bones. They stabilize the spine. They prevent too much movement. Imagine strong ropes holding the stacked blocks together. But even ligaments can get stretched or torn if the spine moves in an extreme or sudden way. Then there are the muscles. Hundreds of muscles attached to the spine. Some are deep, small muscles that help with fine movements and stability. Others are large, powerful muscles that move the torso and limbs. These muscles are vital for supporting the spine. They act like a natural corset, bracing the column and distributing forces. If these muscles are weak or unbalanced, the spine becomes much more vulnerable. So, from an evolutionary point of view, you could say we traded one set of problems for another. We got hands-free, we could make tools, we could carry things, we could see farther. These were huge advantages. They helped us survive. They helped us become who we are. But the trade-off was a more vulnerable back, a spine that, while adapted, wasn't perfectly designed for this new way of moving. It was a compromise, a good enough solution, not a perfect one. Evolution doesn't build things from scratch. It tinkers with existing designs. It repurposed a horizontal bridge into a vertical pillar. And it did the best it could with the materials at hand. It's like building a house with a very specific purpose. Say, a long, low ranch house. Then deciding you want to use it for something completely different, like a tall apartment building. You can make changes, you can reinforce things, you can add extra supports. But some parts might always be a bit awkward. Some parts might still show the stress of the original design. That's a bit like our spine. It was built for one thing, then asked to do something else. And it mostly pulled it off, but not without some creaks and groans. The pelvis also changed a lot. When you walk on four legs, the pelvis is long and narrow. It's good for attaching muscles that help you move your back legs. It's oriented more horizontally. When we stood up, the pelvis became shorter and wider. It rotated and tilted. It became like a bowl. This wider, deeper shape was needed to support the abdominal organs when we were upright, keeping them from just sloshing downwards. It was also needed to attach big muscles for standing and walking, like our powerful gluteal muscles. Those big butt muscles are key for bipedal movement. They help extend the hip and keep us upright. But this change to a wider, shorter pelvis also made childbirth harder. The birth canal, the path a baby takes, became more curved and narrow relative to a baby's head size. This is another evolutionary compromise. We got bipedalism, we got bigger brains, which meant bigger heads, but women had to endure more difficult births. It's all connected. The changes in our back are not isolated. They are part of a whole body redesign, a complex system of trade-offs, where one advantage often brought a new challenge. So, is it just an evolutionary hangover? If you only looked at the bones, you might say yes. Our spine looks like it's been forced into a job it wasn't quite meant for. It has these beautiful, necessary curves, but they also create points of mechanical stress. The lower lumbar spine, where the lordotic curve forward curve is most pronounced and meets the relatively flat sacrum, is a prime example of a transition zone under high stress. But that's not the whole story, because we don't live in the wild anymore. We don't spend our days hunting and gathering. We don't climb trees all the time. Our modern lives put a whole new kind of stress on our back. Think about sitting. How much do we sit? Most of us sit a lot. We sit at desks for hours. We sit in cars for long commutes. We sit on couches watching TV. When you sit, especially in a bad slouch, you put even more pressure on your lower back discs. It flattens out that natural lumbar curve. It rounds your back. This squishes those discs in a bad way. It pushes the gel-like center of the disc backwards towards the spinal cord and nerves. Our bodies are designed to move. to walk, to run, to squat, to lift, to stretch, not to sit still, hunched over for 8 hours straight. The sustained pressure damages the discs over time. Our muscles get weak from all this sitting. The muscles in our core, our abdominal muscles, our back muscles, they are supposed to support the spine. They act like a natural corset, providing dynamic stability. If they're weak, then the spine takes all the load. It has to do all the work itself, relying more on the passive structures like ligaments and discs. That's a recipe for pain, and it's not something our distant ancestors had to deal with. They didn't have office chairs, they didn't have long commutes, they were constantly moving, performing varied tasks that kept their muscles engaged and strong. And think about shoes. We wear shoes with heels, even small heels. This changes how we stand. It changes how our weight is distributed. It tilts our pelvis forward. This can increase the curve in our lower back, making it more pronounced and putting more strain on those muscles and discs. It shifts our center of gravity forward, forcing the back muscles to work harder to keep us upright. Or barefoot walking, or walking in minimal shoes, allows the foot to work as it should. It lets the foot act as a natural shock absorber, flexing and adapting to the ground. It helps us use our natural gait, but most of us don't do that anymore. Our feet are often confined and supported in ways that make them weak and less functional. Then there's our weight. Many people today carry extra weight. Obesity is a big problem. And where does a lot of that extra weight sit? Around the belly. This pulls our center of gravity even further forward. It puts immense strain on the lower back. It forces the spine into an awkward position to keep us upright, constantly pulling the lumbar spine into a deeper curve. It's like having a heavy backpack on your front all the time. This is not something our lean, active ancestors faced often. Their diets were different, their activity levels were different, also how we lift things. We often lift with our backs, not our legs. We bend over at the waist, we round our back. Then we lift. This is incredibly bad for the spine. It puts immense pressure on those discs. It's like trying to pick up a heavy box by bending a flexible stick in the middle. It's going to snap or break. When you round your back, the load is unevenly distributed, pushing the disc material backward. We're taught to lift with our legs, to squat down, keeping our back straight and using the powerful muscles in our glutes and thighs. But we often forget, or we're in a hurry, or we just don't know better, or our leg muscles are weak from disuse. The stress plays a part too. When we're stressed, our muscles tense up. It's a natural fight or flight response. Our shoulders go up, our jaw clenches, and our back muscles can tense up too, especially the muscles around the neck and upper back. Chronic muscle tension can lead to pain. It can make existing problems worse by compressing discs and nerves. Modern life is full of stress. Our deadlines, bills, traffic, relationship troubles. It all adds up, and our bodies often hold that stress in our muscles, creating knots and trigger points that refer pain to the back. Even our sleeping positions can contribute. Spending 8 hours in an awkward position can strain the spine. A mattress that's too soft or too firm. A pillow that doesn't support the neck properly. These small things, repeated every night, can add up to chronic discomfort. Our ancestors likely slept on varied surfaces, perhaps on the ground, changing positions frequently without the fixed structure of a modern bed. So, yes, the basic design of our spine, a compromise for bipedalism, sets us up for some issues. That's the evolutionary hangover part, but our modern lifestyle piles on top of that. It takes a system that's already a bit vulnerable and then subjects it to conditions it was never meant to handle. It's like having a car with a slightly weak engine or an older chassis. It might run okay for a while, but then you start towing heavy loads or driving it really hard on rough roads. And suddenly that weak engine or old chassis becomes a big, expensive problem. Do other animals get back pain? You don't often see a wild deer complaining about a slipped disc, or a wolf with sciatica. They move naturally, they don't sit all day, they don't carry extra weight. Their spines are doing what they were designed to do, or at least what they've evolved to do for their specific locomotion. Their movement patterns are varied and frequent. They stay lean and strong. But some domesticated animals do get back problems. Take dogs, for example. Especially long-backed breeds like Dachshunds or Basset Hounds. They can suffer from intervertebral disc disease, IVDD. Their discs degenerate. They can rupture, they can cause severe pain, and even paralysis. Why them? Because humans bred them for certain looks. Long bodies, short legs. This puts unusual stress on their spine, much like an architectural flaw. It's an example of how changing the natural design can lead to problems. And they also often live a less active life than a wild dog. They might be overweight. They might jump on and off furniture in ways that stress their spine. So, even in other animals, it's not just genetics. It's often genetics combined with lifestyle and human intervention. The evolutionary argument isn't about saying our spine is bad or poorly designed. It's about saying it's a product of trade-offs. Evolution doesn't aim for perfection. It aims for good enough to survive and reproduce. If standing upright gave us a big enough advantage to outcompete others, to forage more efficiently, to escape predators, to carry and care for offspring, then a slightly more vulnerable back was a price worth paying. We outran predators. We carried more food. We used tools more effectively. These benefits outweighed the risk of a sore back later in life. Because back pain usually hits later, after we've had kids, after we've passed on our genes. So from evolution's perspective, it's not a major factor in reproductive success. Think about the S-curve of our spine again. It helps. It's better than a straight pole for shock absorption. But it's also a point of weakness. Those curves mean specific areas are under more stress. The transition zones, the spot where the upper back meets the lower back, the spot where the lower back meets the pelvis. These are often where problems start. They are the bending points, the pivot points. The lumbar spine, in particular, has to manage significant leverage from the upper body. Any slight imbalance or weakness in the muscles supporting it can lead to increased stress on the discs and joints. Our anatomy itself tells the story. The angle of our sacrum, the triangular bone at the base of the spine, is a distinct feature of bipedalism. The size and shape of our lumbar vertebrae, which are larger to bear more weight. The way our discs are structured, they tell a story of a body caught between two worlds. A quadruped past and a bipedal present. The architecture is a compromise. But if it were just an evolutionary hangover, then everyone would have constant, crippling back pain from birth. And that's not the case. Babies don't have immediate back pain. Children typically don't. It often starts later in life, as we age, as we neglect our bodies, as we adopt bad habits. This suggests that modern life is a huge part of the problem. It pushes our already compromised spine beyond its limits. Imagine our ancestors, early humans. They spent their days walking, running, climbing, squatting, lifting, carrying. They had strong glutes, strong core muscles. They moved their bodies in many different ways throughout the day. Their activity was varied and integrated into their survival. They probably had some back pain, maybe from acute injuries like a bad fall from a tree, from repetitive tasks without rest. But chronic, low-level, lifestyle-induced back pain, the kind many of us experience today, was probably less common. They moved how their bodies were meant to move, constantly adapting to their environment. We don't. We live in boxes from our homes to our offices. We sit in chairs, often poorly designed ones. We drive in cars for hours. We use machines to do the lifting, the digging, the bending. Our bodies are often starved of the varied natural movement they need. And then when we do move, it's often in short, intense bursts, like weekend warrior stuff at the gym. Or we move poorly, because our muscles are weak and tight, our range of motion is limited. We've lost the natural fluidity and strength that comes from consistent, natural movement. So the back pain puzzle has two big pieces. One piece is our evolutionary history. The compromise is made to walk upright, the inherent vulnerability of a vertical, segmented column supporting a heavy torso. That's the inherited part, the hangover. The second piece is our modern life. The way we live, the way we move or don't move, the food we eat, which impacts our weight and inflammation. The stress we carry. This piece adds extra weight to an already stressed system. It's a combination, an old story of adaptation, meeting a new story of sedentary living and unhealthy habits. It's not an either-or situation. It's both. Our back is a product of evolution. And it's also a product of how we live now. To truly understand our back pain, we need to look at both. We can't change our evolutionary past. We're stuck with the spine we've got. But we can change our modern habits. We can learn to live in a way that respects our body's design. Even its imperfect design. What can we do then? If we accept that our back is a bit of an evolutionary kludge, made worse by our current ways, what hope is there? A lot, actually. It's about understanding the problem, and then working with it. Not against it. First, move more. Simple as that. Our bodies need movement. all kinds of movement. Walking is great, but also bending, twisting, reaching, squatting. Don't be afraid to move your spine. It's designed to move, to articulate, to flex. Just move it smartly. Don't slouch, don't slump. Try to find comfortable, upright positions. Change positions often. Don't stay still for too long. If you sit for work, get up every hour. Walk around, stretch a bit. Even a few minutes of movement can make a big difference in keeping your discs nourished and your muscles engaged. Think about how a child moves, constantly changing positions, squatting, twisting. It's more natural. Second, strengthen your core. This is huge. Your core muscles are not just your abs. They are the deep muscles in your abdomen, like the transverse abdominis, which acts like a natural belt, and the muscles in your lower back called multifidus, and your glutes. They are like a natural brace for your spine. When these muscles are strong and balanced, they help hold your spine in a good, stable position. They take some of the load off the discs and ligaments. Simple exercises like planks, bird dogs, or even just focusing on gently bracing your core during daily activities like lifting or standing can help. It's not about getting a six-pack, it's about stability and support for your spine. Third, pay attention to how you lift. Always lift with your legs. Keep your back straight, maintaining its natural curve. Get close to the object you're lifting. Engage your core. Use your powerful leg and glute muscles to do the work like a squat. Don't twist while you lift. These are old rules, but they are still true. They protect your back by distributing the load properly and minimizing strain on the discs. Practice good lifting form even with light objects so it becomes a habit. Fourth, maintain a healthy weight. Extra weight, especially around the middle, is a significant burden on your spine. It pulls your posture out of alignment and adds constant compressive force. Losing even a little bit of weight can relieve a lot of pressure on your lower back and discs. It's not just about aesthetics, it's about mechanics and reducing mechanical stress on your body. Fifth, listen to your body. Our bodies usually give us warning signs, a little ache, a stiffness, a feeling of tension. Don't ignore it. It's your body telling you something. Maybe you need to rest. Maybe you need to move differently. Maybe you need to stretch or strengthen something. Don't push through pain that feels wrong or sharp. Get help if you need it. From a doctor, a physical therapist, a chiropractor, someone who understands bodies and how they move. Early intervention can prevent small problems from becoming big ones. Sixth, think about your feet and footwear. Our feet are the foundation of our entire body. They affect our posture all the way up the chain, from ankles to knees, hips, and spine. Consider shoes that support natural foot movement, allowing your toes to spread and your arch to flex. Or spend some time barefoot when it's safe and appropriate. It can help reactivate the natural shock absorbers in your feet and improve your balance and proprioception. And that translates to less stress on your knees, hips, and ultimately your spine. High heels, for example, can significantly alter spinal alignment. Seventh, manage stress. Find ways to relax. Deep breathing exercises, meditation, spending time in nature. Engaging in hobbies you enjoy, whatever helps you unwind and reduce mental tension. When your mind is calmer, your muscles often relax too. This can ease a lot of the chronic tension that builds up in the back and shoulders, which often contributes to pain. Stress reduction is not a luxury, it's a necessity for overall physical well-being. It's not about perfection, it's about being mindful. It's about giving our bodies the best chance to work well, even if they come with a few design quirks from our long, wild journey through evolution. We can't escape our history. Our bipedal stance is here to stay, and with it, the inherent challenges for our spine. But we don't have to surrender to constant pain. We have agency. We can make choices that support our back. Our ancestors were tough. They adapted to incredible changes in their environment and way of life. And we are their descendants. We have the capacity to adapt too, to our modern world, or to our bipedal bodies. It's about understanding the hand we've been dealt, genetically speaking, and then playing that hand wisely with our daily choices. So, are our back problems an evolutionary hangover? Yes, partly. Our upright posture set the stage for these issues. It created a vulnerability. It made demands on our spine that it wasn't perfectly designed for, but it also gave us incredible advantages. Advantages that led to our survival and flourishing as a species. And then we, in our modern lives, took that somewhat vulnerable system and subjected it to conditions that make things much, much worse. It's a combination. An old story of adaptation meeting a new story of sedentary living, poor posture, and chronic stress. It means we have some control. We can't go back to being four-legged creatures. But we can move more like our ancient two-legged ancestors did. We can use our bodies as they were intended to be used actively, frequently, and with variety. And we can strengthen them. We can give them the respect they deserve, even with their evolutionary quirks. It's not about fixing a broken system. It's about working with a complex system. A system that carries millions of years of history in its very structure, and then giving it the support it needs to handle the demands of today. The answer to the big question is complex, but the path to a better back might be simpler than we think. It's about respect for our history and responsibility for our present.